Harry and Meghan have given their children new surnames. In the latest instalment of their rebrand, they will now be known as Archie and Lilibet Sussex. Now, there has been some debate on YouTube as to whether Sussex is a surname or a title.
Yeah.
I say it's both, actually, and I think the YouTubers are wrong.
Yeah, so this is the thing. So I was actually going to start off by saying I got something wrong last week, which doesn't usually happen on this show. But I said that Sussex was their surname, and a lot of very angry people on YouTube started shouting at me.
I'm sorry.
And I didn't like it.
Pete, I think you're right.
I think you're right. I'm right.
Because
I genuinely do.
If you look at what the Queen said about surnames, she said for those members of the royal family requiring a surname, they can call themselves Windsor or Mountbatten Windsor, but more generally, they will just use the title.
That was my thinking. But interestingly on this, so when we talk about the kids and this rebrand, what I actually think this is about is that it's actually sort of a comment that Lois Perry made last week, saying Harry and Meghan are famous for not being royals. That's what they're famous for, really.
Yes.
And I think that this is actually their attempt to not be that anymore. And it's a way to rebrand themselves in their own way, to kind of distance themselves yet again from the royal family.
I totally disagree with that.
Do you?
I think they're doing everything to be close to the royal family.
I'm not
and that's
sure
why
on
they've
that.
got that crest there.
Did you?
I'm going to take... this is a very centre ground position, which I'm not used to taking.
Sorry, Henry. How on earth has the former leader of the UKIP taken the centre ground? What's going on, man?
Hey, always unpredictable, me. But look, they are trying to retain enough of a connection with the royal family to be able to exploit that brand whilst developing their own independent brand so that they can do their own thing. And, that's why they're in such a mess at the moment.
Yeah.
And I actually disagree. I think, actually, Sussex is the title.
Yeah.
The surname is Windsor.
Well, my friend got very
Mountbatten
confused because she was looking up to go to Brighton. She kept going on Sussex.
I think they're both very confused, and I think they need to go on a long holiday somewhere far, far away from everybody else and have a long, cold, hard reflection without any distractions, without any media, without any Hollywood. And then they might learn the error of their ways.
As I've always said, if I became the British Prime Minister, I would return us to the space industry and put a man on the moon, and that man would be Prince Harry. But anyway,
I'd rather enjoy that.
Lizzie, I just want to ask you this question about the name Lilibet, because it's often said, and we don't know for sure, that Her Majesty the Queen was actually rather offended that her nickname was used rather than child being called Elizabeth. Do you think it was an attempt to an attempt to show off by using the nickname?
Well, it actually wasn't. As you said, it's a nickname. It's not a proper name. And it was specially given to our late Queen. And she was, by all accounts, absolutely fuming about it. And they had no right to take it. It's the Queen's name. And actually, I was once given Lilibet because my name's Elizabeth and my best friend couldn't say my name. And it is a nickname.
Using that name just seemed a bit forced to me. It seemed like they're trying to have a connection with the Queen. And I was just like, again, it didn't sit comfortably. I'm not really in a position for names.
Your dad, give me 1 second, but your dad is known as Pete Barnes.
Yeah.
But you weren't named Pete, you were named Peter.
Yeah, so which is quite funny. When I go back up north, most of my friends actually call me Chris or Christopher because it's my middle name. And so, because what used to happen is somebody used to shout Peter in our house, and both me and my dad used to turn up, and I was like, nope, sick of this. So
you thought your mum wanted somebody to be washing up.
Can I ask you this, Henry? Before you go on, I just want to ask you this question. King Prince Charles, as we call him nowadays.
Yes.
King Prince Charles wanted to slim down the royal family. I mean, is it time to start getting rid of some of these people? What would happen if we took that dukedom off Prince Harry?
Yeah, well, you can't. I mean,
you could by Act of Parliament.
Yeah, well, you could, but it's not really worth it. Yeah. And it draws too much attention to it. The king is, we were talking about the word cool earlier. In that sense, the king is quite cool. He's not going to get flustered. He's not going to make a big issue of this thing more than he is forced to do. But going back to the Lilibet thing, I mean, this is the woke that was. And I think what they're trying to do is cash in on the late Queen's identity, which I think, if they'd named her Elizabeth, that would have been fine. But the late Queen would have been of a generation where you didn't name your children with a nickname.
Exactly.
You didn't christen them with a nickname. You christen them with a full name, and then you might apply a nickname later on. But she'd have been of that generation, so I think she would have been a bit upset.
One example being that he is called Prince Henry.
Yeah, exactly. But then what they've tried to do is make that sound all cool and fashionable and woke and everything else. by calling them nicknames.
But it's
That's what
totally
they've tried to do.
disrespectful.
It
They've
is,
once
yeah.
again been
They're missing
so
the point.
disrespectful, and they only care about themselves. That's what it's all about. And I'm afraid I disagree with you. I think King Charles is very, very upset.
Yeah.
He went there for 30 minutes, Harry, flew over, and within 30 minutes he still came back and he couldn't sip it. He could not sip it, and he spoke, and he shouldn't have said anything.
He said to Harry, please don't ruin the last few years of my life.
From what I'm hearing, King Charles is really getting sick to death of them, and no wonder Prince William didn't want to have any. Prince William doesn't want anything to do with him because you can't trust him. That anything you say is going to be put in an interview or.
I think, by the way,
I
think he just rises above it. There's all this. It's rather like the old analogy of the swan or the duck. Calm on the surface and paddling like what's it underneath. And I think, there is a deep amount of hurt there. Inevitably, they're a family. This is a terrible thing that's happening to their family. And I think Harry needs to, I'm serious about that, he needs to go away and he needs to have a long, hard think about his behaviour. I think
that is the best thing I've ever heard. That was super. You need to have a long, hard think about your behaviour.
I've got
to say to you, before we put the question to Pete, I'm fairly certain that this concern about leaks is why Prince William wanted Harry out of the Windsor Castle grounds, because God knows what he might be carrying.
Right.
Anyway, so, Pete, putting to one side the long, drawn-out question as to whether Sussex counts as a surname or a title or both, I'll ask you the question. Have Harry and Meghan given their children the new surname Sussex? Is it true or is it false?
It's true.
It's absolutely true! So, Henry... Sadiq Khan has been criticised for blocking a statue of the late Queen in Trafalgar Square. He has chosen an artwork paying tribute to trans sex workers instead.
I think Sadiq Khan, and I've said this on social media, I think his agenda is one of cultural displacement. He wants to remove traditional British culture and values from London. And the answer to your question, very sadly and very worryingly, is yes, he has. And the late Queen, in my view, it's not a matter only for Sadiq Khan. If there's going to be a statue of the Queen, it's obviously a matter for the royal family as well, particularly the King, and possibly for Parliament too. But it is not a matter for the Mayor of London to decide whether a statue of the late Queen goes up somewhere or whether it doesn't. And to link it, allow it to be linked with this collage, I think it's going to be of 280 or 350 transsexuals from the sex industry. Look, I don't care about them.
So there will be a Queen in Trafalgar Square. There will be a Queen in Trafalgar Square, but not the one we understand.
What I don't understand, Henry...
You can't say that.
Henry, can I just want to ask this. What I don't understand nowadays with these statues is that they are no longer interested in what you've done. It's more what you are.
Yeah.
So as an example, the statue of the Windrush, all very nice, but basically it's just statues of people who arrived in Britain. Yeah. It's not a statue of one of them that built a skyscraper or became a professor.
It's not about respect now. It's about sending a political message, which is why he's renaming these parts of the London Overground.
They had a huge impact on this country, and the Queen would be jealous of the impact that they had on this country.
I just don't know what to say next. Why would she be jealous of trans sex workers?
Because they get a statue in Trafalgar Square.
Yeah, that's a fair point. And they didn't have to meet President Xi of China.
Yeah,
So that's a good piece of news.
But interestingly, one thing I think this story is really about is it doesn't surprise me that Sadiq Khan doesn't like the Queen. I get that both confused. It doesn't surprise me one bit that this is what Sadiq Khan has done. It generally doesn't surprise me, because what I actually think this is about is that Sadiq Khan, it's not that he doesn't like the royal family or the monarchy, which we all know. He doesn't like the people that do like the royal family. He doesn't like the people that do like the Queen. And that's why I think this real vindictive streak that's within Sadiq Khan and the way that he deals with being the mayor and this kind of stuff is just, it's my way and this is how it's going to be.
Pete, dare I say this? Talking of people who are vindictive and just want to have a go at somebody for no reason, I note that fox hunting is back on the Labour's agenda.
Yes, that's very true.
Amazing.
It's amazing.
I mean, I cannot understand. Look, I'm the biggest townie ever. And you would not... Yeah, all right, I didn't read that question either. I'll tell you what we'll do. Why don't we just move on? Let's move on. OK, so has Sadiq Khan decided to put trans No, sorry, let me reword that. Yeah. Has Sadiq Khan decided that he wishes to venerate trans sex workers rather than Her Majesty the Queen? Is it true or is it false?
Very sadly, it's true.
It's absolutely, unfortunately, true! Sadiq Khan has... I don't know why we're even asking this question, but go. Sadiq Khan's been criticised for spending $6 million on renaming train lines to make them more woke. Names include Windrush, Lioness, and Suffragette. Although the Suffragettes weren't woke, were they?
They weren't woke. And there's one called Beaver as well. I'm waiting to ride on the one-legged lesbian. I don't know where this is going, honestly.
Riding the one-legged lesbian?
Line. That's
Where
another
do beavers
Beaver
come
line.
into it?
There's a Beaver line. There's a Lioness line.
Is there a Beaver line?
Yes, apparently so.
What is
Weaver, not Beaver.
Oh, a Weaver. Sorry.
Oh my God! Oh my God! Oh my God! What did you think the Beaver line was there for?
Was it linked with the suffragettes in some
Oh,
way?
I'm sorry. It's the Horton Weavers Beavers. They've said our beaver troop is not related to weaving. Thank you very much.
Look, in all seriousness, sadly...
How can we be serious when you thought the line was called Beaver?
Sorry, slip of the tongue. This has cost over £6 million for these new names and rainbow colours. And he's so proud of this. I am disgusted at this man because I don't know if you've seen the video that went viral actually of the poor disabled girl that was at the train station tube, and the lifts weren't working, and they literally, she had to pull herself up the steps. It was so shocking, and no one was there to help that was working there. How about he puts the money into something that the trains need and stop? And everything he does. From you, Les, everything else for me is a cash making.
But he's just a man. He's a man who's motivated principally by hatred of others, isn't he? Let's be honest.
It's
his way or no way.
That way.
Yeah.
But sadly, that's why I'm so upset with the Conservative Party, for one of the reasons, is that they haven't got anyone to go against him. That, because sadly, I think he's going to get in again. And we had 18 years after Margaret Thatcher without a Mayor of London. I don't actually think we need one.
We need to reclaim the capital city of the United Kingdom, the city that for centuries was regarded as the finest city in the world, both in standards, in culture, in every respect possible. And this man, single-handedly, has done more to disassemble that reputation and the life of London and the culture and the character of our capital city than anybody else.
Absolutely.
Shocking.
I have to say one thing, Henry, and I don't know if you three have noticed this, but I finish work, obviously, on the Saturday night at 1 in.the morning. It is Thursday, Friday, Saturday nights, 1 in.the morning. It is astonishing the way that Sadiq Khan's policies in London have magic traffic jams from nowhere.
Yeah.
You end up sat there for ages and there are no cars on the road.
Yeah.
There's like 4 cars, but you're going that slowly. And by the way, people are thinking this isn't coming to a town near you. Oh, yes.
Oh, yes, it is.
You get a Labour government, a Labour
gonna get
district, local government. This is coming to you. There is no if, there is no but.
By the way, Henry, I like the fact that you described your local council as a district council.
District.
That shows to our American audience, that shows that he's from one of the posher parts of the country.
But time is money, and you can't move in London anymore. A Mayor of London is supposed to make the city safer and move more quickly.
Well, remember, Sadiq Khan, and I'm going to go to the question now, but Sadiq Khan, remember, when knife crime increased, he blamed Boris Johnson for knife crime increasing after Boris Johnson left.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Just really quickly, just to touch on something that Lizzie brought up. And actually, this is indicative of progressive politicians. For those listening on the radio, I used air quotes there. That if this is about choices, and Sadiq Khan continually chooses to do things that irritate people. And I think you're right. This is about how he just doesn't like people. It staggers me that a man who's supposed to be in public service doesn't like the public.
No.
And I agree with you, Andre. I mean, when we've done the radio shows together and I've got to get to the other side of London, it takes me twice as long in the evening. And this, again, it's all a choice. And like you said, this is £6 million. Imagine what you could do with £6 million in this city.
It's also,
here we are.
And you should have your city moving.
Yeah.
But he's also said repeatedly that London was built by immigrants.
Yeah. Oh!
And
Time's up, Henry. Time's up, Henry. We really wanted you to tell us all about the Huguenot immigration, but just don't have time to do it, Henry. Oh, gutted. OK, so Lizzie, has Sadiq Khan spent £6 million wokifying the names of all of the tube lines?
Sadly, it's true.
It's absolutely true! And I think he's going to win. I honestly say that the worse he makes the capital, the more likely he is to win because he can just blame the government. Yeah. Anyway, Pete, the National Multiple Sclerosis Society has sacked a 90-year-old volunteer for breaking its diversity policy after she asked what pronouns were. She served the charity for 60 years. Just another charity been taken over, presumably?
100%. I think you said it last week, that any organisation that is not explicitly right-wing will always fall to the left. It's one of the old rules of politics. And everybody who's ever worked in politics knows that to be true. One thing that I found staggering about this is this woman has dedicated 60 years of her life to volunteering and helping raise money for a very good cause. And one of these causes that doesn't really get the glitz and the glamour of most other charities. True. And the way that this organisation has treated this woman, I think, is despicable. All she basically asked is, what do you mean by pronouns on an email? That's basically what this is all about. And they just booted her out of it. And it staggered me, because what this really struck me as is they just wanted to get rid of an old woman. I don't think this had anything to do with her being transphobic or anything like that. I think she genuinely didn't understand it. They couldn't be bothered to explain it and used it as an excuse to boot her out. I'm not one of these people that gets on saying you shouldn't give money to organisations that do bad things. But I would start to really question, are these big charities like the MS Society really worth giving our money to if this is how they're going to actually treat people that dedicate 60 years of their life to them? I think it's despicable.
I have to say, I had a friend of mine who went to Bangladesh, and as you know, organisations like Save the Children make a fortune by every year running adverts saying what a dump Bangladesh is. It floods every year. It's on a floodplain, right? But all of these charity bosses flying around first class. I'm not going to have a go at the MS, but remember, Oxfam and the Sex for Food programme, these charities have become deeply corrupt.
Yeah, but that's so sad because it gives charities such a bad name.
I've got two things to say about this, and I hadn't heard this, actually. But I have got somebody very...
Well, that proves he's not reading the question.
Exactly. I've just got... Yeah, never mind. You said something that was just going to get me into trouble.
No, I was going to say, if you could see the future, some things that have happened to you would never have taken place. Let's be entirely honest. You wouldn't be able to say, that one's a misadventure.
That is the comment of the show.
That is another show.
Right, let's just call it and everybody go home. None of these going to top that.
That was good. But somebody very, very close to me has MS, and very close. And I find it absolutely disgusting. If this is true, as we've discussed, then I'm mortified, I'm horrified, and I'm deeply disappointed that a charity that's job is to, its mission is to deal with this horrendous disease. And if it is spending its time worrying about stuff like that, then it's not focused on its core
I think
task.
she should have done? Fran Itzcroft should have said, my name originally was Francis. I'm a man, but I've become a woman.
Yes.
And just saw where that got her.
Do you know what? The sad thing, though, Pete's totally right. They're using this as an excuse to get rid of her.
And we don't want to get rid of old women, do we, Lizzie?
We certainly do not, my dear. No.
But
your mum would be disappointed.
She won't be. Mum's watching. Hello,
but you know, a lot of these organisations, and the UN and others, I've worked for them. I've worked around them in these places, not Gaza, but similar sort of places. And you know what? The bosses all live in little villas. They drive around in nice 4x4s. They've got their driver. They've got this, that, and the other. You know, sometimes it's a really tough life, and they are on the front line, literally. And there are people. So one has to be careful with what one says. But a huge amount of the money that these organisations get goes into a grand lifestyle and a huge salary for these people. Sometimes it's deserved.
Well, I have to say, I was watching Rory Stewart talking about a toilet rollout that was paid for by the British government, and it was a series of holes in the ground at 40 grand each.
What?
So come on, Wabby, what do you think about this?
She's worked there for 60 years. It's been a long time coming.
Oh! Get out! Get out! Get out! Okay. So is it true that the MS Society has sacked somebody for not knowing what a pronoun was? Is it true or is it false?
It's true.
It's absolutely true!
That was The Woke That Was continues after the break. Welcome back to That Was The Woke That Was.
The British Army has introduced pride-themed headwear designed to promote diversity on the battlefield. Is it true or is it false? I've got to be honest with you. I went to the Golan Heights with the Israeli Defence Force and I spotted a bloke once, one of the soldiers had a skull cap with camouflage on it. And I thought, well, in the sand, when you pop up, they'll go, oh, look at that lump of sand over there. Unbelievable.
I've commanded women in operational units.
Excuse me, I was going to say.
Get down there! Get down there!
White rabbit's finding that amusing.
There was an unfortunately long gap in that sentence.
Well, I've commanded women as well, but then again, they took the dressing room off me. I was absolutely devastated. But that was Sadiq Khan! Hey! He says, get those transsexuals sorted. I don't know why he's now from Manchester.
I know.
But anyway.
But no, women can make outstanding soldiers. And but I have a problem with the Air Force calling everybody in the Air Force aviators. An aviator is somebody who flies. Most people in the RAF don't fly. I wish they probably wish they did, but they don't.
Yes.
And they're not aviators, therefore. There's all of this woke stuff, bringing religion into the Army careers adverts. Trying to bring in. Look, if we've got a problem recruiting ethnic minorities or anybody else into the armed forces or the police or anywhere else. The problem doesn't lie with the armed forces unless there is proven prejudice against them, which there is not.
Yeah, that's very true.
It's a reflection of social issues, and we need to address it as such. Chasing after identity groups to boost recruitment to the armed forces is not the answer. What you are doing by that is reducing your recruitment of those people who do want to join because they're making way.
How long have you been planning this speech? He's wanted to say that for years, hasn't he? Henry,
I've got it off my chest now.
Henry, do you feel better now?
Yeah, I do.
Because to be honest with you, the question's ridiculous.
I know.
I have to admit, I really
the answer is I have no idea.
The fact that you've attempted a sensible answer to the following question: has the British Army introduced pride-themed headwear for the battlefield? Is it true or is it false?
I hope it's false.
It's absolutely false.
Well done, Henry.
Northamptonshire Council has attempted to force an elderly couple to sell their home to make way for illegal migrants. So, Lizzie, have they both got a stupid name and stupid policies?
Yes. Well, this is the danger of having maybe a 32-bedroomed home, is it? I don't know. This is madness. And sadly, I do think this is true because I'm hearing this over and over again. And it's just happened near me, actually, where I live, where they've built these amazing new apartments that are being housed for illegal immigrants to stay. And also, as I said, my beautiful hotel that I used to always go to, have drinks, parties, weddings, is now full of also.
And you used to be able to rent it by the hour, which is
exactly, indeed. But this is a sad.
I love the way she didn't even respond.
I'm not even bothering. I'm so used to it. But this is a sad state of affairs which is happening all over.
Yeah. I have to say, I was very, very upset when I heard about the students who had booked in for their university accommodation only to be thrown out in favour of illegal immigrants.
We hear this time and time again. And I'm so glad Rishi's pledge of stop the boats is working so well.
By the way,
I'm sorry, he couldn't stop the pedalo.
There was a report in the other place today that there's been a 50% increase in Turkish barbers in Britain in the past 5 years. Now, let's be clear, not all of those are legit, are they? No. But the number of illegal migrants, the number of criminal gangs that have now penetrated the UK is extraordinary.
And I've got to say, as a woman, I'm really scared. And I'm scared to go out, not just at night, but in the daytime, because I'm looking over my shoulder. Even in my rural village, sadly, I was subject of an attempted burglary, and they found the people, and they are from... they shouldn't be here, basically.
Oh, so they were illegal migrants themselves.
So just and that's in a rural. It's like organised crime. Yeah. When they're coming into rural areas from London.
Lizzie, it is organised crime. Most people watching this will not be familiar with exactly what happened, but I have to say it was terrifying. Can you just quickly remind us?
Very terrifying. I got home at 10 p.m. and just went upstairs to have a bath, and I heard all this noise downstairs, and someone was actually trying to get into my home. And luckily, because I'm in a very rural, quiet area. A farmer had seen someone trying to get in round in the back door, and he screamed saying, "I'm going to call the police." Then they jumped in this stolen car and tried to get out of my drive, but in so doing, going so fast, they rolled the car.
And so the police have confirmed to you that they are illegal migrants?
Yes,
Do we know anything else about them?
No, because they're investigating for other burglaries at the moment, but I will...
So Henry, without being funny, once again, and I didn't know this, it's not something that Lizzie and I had planned to discuss, but once again, criminality is being increased by our ridiculous failed immigration system.
Yeah, I know. Look, this is another serious topic, isn't it? Absolutely. Everything is falling apart with immigration and our system. We've got people who are getting visas because they say that they are going to work for care companies, people who provide care for the handicapped and for the infirm in society. 250 such visas have been issued to people. The company that they're claiming to work for doesn't exist.
Yeah. Yes.
You know, so there's either collusion in this from somebody in the Home Office, or there is a total breakdown in the process.
Well, there was a joke on the radio show.
We are putting the most vulnerable in society at risk, and we can be light-hearted about many things, but we've got people whose homes are being attacked. We've got people whose communities are being disrupted. We've got children who are being molested and abused on the streets. We've got the most elderly and infirm in society, the most helpless in society, being put at risk by this. And I think it is an absolute bloody scandal, and it disgusts me that any government, regardless their political persuasion, is allowing this to happen.
But the Conservatives have let this happen, and they haven't secured our borders.
Somebody phoned my radio show the other day to say, do you know something? It's amazing the number of gay Christians attending my mosque.
Yeah.
But I mean, he was joking.
That's the other thing. I mean, what's happened to this country? Where is common sense?
Yeah, the gullible clergymen that are
just to kind of put some kind of figures to
coffee.
this, there's a report that was released just earlier this week, actually, that it was talking about what they call economically inactive migrants. So these are not people who are in between jobs. These are people who are looking. These are people who just sit at home and don't do anything. And it's between 2020 and 2024. It's estimated in terms of this. Office of National Statistics Studies, it's estimated that this will cost us, just this one group of people, £24 billion.
Yep.
When we talk about this, again, it is about choices.
But the purpose,
and that's my problem with this.
But Pete, the purpose of bringing these people to the country is to denigrate the country, to undermine the country. Because I think there are people like Sadiq Khan who believe that socialism can never be enacted with the United Kingdom and the United States of America strong. Therefore, use immigration to destroy them.
I think you're largely right. I think it's like Sadiq Khan. Not only do we need to retake the city, the capital.
I know, I was trying to get to the question.
All right, get to the question.
All right, Lizzie.
Okay.
Lizzie,
Yes.
that was the ghost of Sadiq Khan. He's not even dead. Okay, Lizzie. Has Northamptonshire Council, A, got a stupid name? Yeah, we all know it has. And has it attempted to force an elderly couple to move out of their home to make way for illegal migrants? Is it true or is it false?
It's true.
It's absolutely true! Okay.
I don't want to.
I know.
So to Pete.
Yes.
According to the Times, more than 100 Tory MPs will resign before the next general election. Sorry, let's reword this. According to the Times, more than 100 Tory MPs are too afraid to face the electorate and are therefore doing a run-up.
Is Rishi Sunak on the list?
No,
well, it's amazing. Rishi Sunak, he's not far from that big job.
It's my question.
Rishi Sunak is not far from that big Silicon Valley job, is he?
I know for a fact this is true, and what I find quite disturbing is CCHQ, Conservative Campaign Headquarters, put out a memo to MPs saying that if you are going to step down, please don't do it all together as a group, which I found staggering. But this doesn't come as a surprise to me. If we kind of, for those people who are old enough to remember, before the 97 election, you had quite a lot of MPs stand aside when they knew that the inevitable was coming. What annoys me the most about this kind of story is that all of it could have been prevented if the Conservatives had got their act together. Yes. And I don't go down the line that they're not right-wing enough, and I don't buy into that. For me, the Conservative Party... With my problem with that argument is we've just had two by-elections where a more right-wing party was on the ballot and the Conservatives still beat them by quite a significant difference. Most people stayed at home.
No, I will tell you that.
So that's why I don't really buy into that.
I will tell you the problem with the Conservative Party, and I keep saying it, Alan Mabbotisation. Dreary officials with very little talent and no personality are now deliberately making the Conservative Party as boring and lifeless as possible. Yeah. When we were doing the selection election in Windsor, the Conservative Party goes, you are allowed to select everyone who has passed the parliamentary vetting. How many is that out of a population of 65 million? 112.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And you think, oh, come on.
No, but we want the petrol-powered Conservatives, not this wokey electric version.
There's hundreds of thousands of people out there who didn't vote, relatively in those two by-elections, who didn't vote. They stayed at home. And like most people across the country who are centre-right, they want a Conservative Party that is going to put Britain and the British people first, secure our borders, sort out policing, sort out education, bring some coherence to the National Health Service and so on. And these are traditional things for a Conservative Party to
this
deliver.
Is what
I want to put the question...
Reform is not promising.
I want to put the...
It's promising it.
I want to put the question... Shut up! Shut up!
He likes to talk. He likes to talk.
He looks like Elmer Fudd, only an angrier version.
Again, you said that last time.
I did, yeah, Elmer Fudd. OK, right. We don't want to talk about Tory MPs. They're boring, and they're all going to lose anyway. OK, so I have 100 of them gone.
Yes, this is a true story.
It's absolutely true! So, to Henry, the government has been slammed for paying TikTok influencers £5,000 each to discourage migrants from coming to Britain.
Yeah, that's going to work really well because they're also being paid to encourage them to come to Britain as well. So there's win-win for them, isn't it?
Yeah.
I don't think they've actually done it, but I think they've proposed doing it.
Yeah. Oh, will they give me a job?
Yeah,
That's what I could.
Yeah. Well, that's not a bad idea, you know, because I suspect that between us, we could actually send some pretty effective messages out there. Because I've got a message for them.
Do you know?
Which I can't.
I get that. Right. Can I tell you how I stop people from sitting next to me on trains? Right. What I do is
be you.
I have a good idea.
What I do
You did it to me in the dressing room earlier.
I shout, there's one free here, there's one free here. Then I pat the chair and rub it. There's one free.
What I find fascinating about this story is that one of the TikToks has already reached nearly 1 million people. So whether this works, I don't know. But one thing we have to get out of our brains is there is no silver bullet policy on immigration. Like we said, it is a top-to-bottom kind of problem. And we have to get out of this idea that, we do this one thing and everything's fixed. It is a part of a piecemeal thing. And it's not the most interesting thing, but it's the way that we've got to talk about it.
Right, everyone, I'll tell you what we're going to do. For bonus points, we're all going to think just for a minute about how we would do our video. Now, you've only got, I think, 30 seconds on TikTok. So my one would be this. Please, please, please don't come to Britain because I ate all the pies and you won't be able to have any for yourself. Pete.
I just go, I'm here.
I'll beard you.
I'm here.
Come on, Henry.
I think I'd have 4-2 commando behind me and I'd say, don't even think about it.
Hey! Oh, come on, Lizzie will be the best.
Well, no, you'll have to have a night with the Cundetta. Oh, you won't survive. No.
How's that going to put people off?
They won't want it. They won't believe it.
A night with Lizzie Cundy.
Torture.
Do you remember when we had the studio in Ealing? We walked into that pub, that fella's little face when he saw you in those tight leather trousers.
I remember that.
Oh, that was great.
He nearly had a heart attack, the poor man.
He did.
He got
OK, anyway, Henry, has the government decided that it's going to pay £5,000 to TikTokers to discourage people from coming to Britain? Is it true or is it false?
It's true.
It's absolutely true!
That was The Woke That Was continues after the break. Welcome back to That Was The Woke That Was.
Avanti West Coast are giving female employees menopause goodie bags, which contain a tissue, a fan and a jelly baby. I'll tell you what they could do. They could give them a train that runs on time. Lizzie.
Yes. Well, I actually think that's very kind of them. I often.
One jelly baby.
Well, I don't understand the one jelly baby.
Well, I do. I would
All
like
right.
to know
Well,
why.
listen. I know about.
Hang on. Why give women tissues? They're always carrying them anyway.
Yeah.
Well,
Very
no,
true.
not always. A lot of men think they know how women feel and they can judge. And actually, going through the menopause for certain women can be really, really tough. Yeah. And I think it's very kind for them to give a fan and a little something.
Does the woke rabbit know what colour these jelly babies are? Is it relevant? Do they identify
They're
with
in the
something
rainbow
in particular?
colours.
Yeah.
As long as they're vegan, I don't really care.
Absolutely.
But I don't think they
Do you
eat
want some more
anything.
water?
Yeah.
I don't think they eat anything.
But I But look, can I just say this quite seriously? I'm getting sick and tired of men dictating to women how they feel, and I'm sorry, men don't realise what they are going through.
It's really funny you say that, because most criticism of this has actually come from women online, saying that actually the train company and Avanti West Coast, you were all right, has elicited a sense of anger in me with those words together, because that's the train I have to use to get back up north. And
well, it isn't, because nothing happens.
I know, yeah. I just stand at Euston.
You get to Euston Station and go, oh, well.
Just pray that it turns up.
Yes.
But no, so it's actually women that have complained about this. So it was put together by a team of women who have the menopause. I don't know if that's the right way to phrase that. And this is what they've come up with. And it's actually, and I hate this programme for making me agree with a trade union, that it's actually quite demeaning to women. The way that this has been put out, it's quite infantilising.
No, not at all. That's stupid to say you're offended by that. I think it's actually people trying to be a bit thoughtful.
I was reading the other day about public toilets. Don't worry. Don't worry. Don't worry. The public toilets were largely rolled out in the UK because women really struggled to actually get out of the house if they weren't able to find a toilet when they're out shopping or whatever. And so now that we've decided we're going to get rid of all these public toilets, it pushes women back into the home, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, it does. And I'm for one, I really don't like the toilets that are unisex toilets. I find it really uncomfortable. I think it is actually for men as well who are embarrassed. Yeah. And I'm just getting sick of women being pushed aside and like raised on how they feel, not being taken seriously.
I agree. Look, I think, you know, people talk about the lived experience. I'm not a woman, in case anybody was wondering. And, you know, I'm not going to presume how somebody else feels, whether it's a man or a woman. It's up to they feel what they feel, and I feel what I feel. And it's not right to impose my assessment, my judgments about that on somebody else.
Yeah.
And I think most men think that way. But I've got to say, there is a vast group of men and women who don't think that way, they've got their own ideas about things and they want to impose their solutions onto other people, men and women. And then you get the sort of woke thing of the unisex toilets and unisex sports and all. And
God,
rabbit
Pete.
just got his phone back on
Henry, I've got to say, I used to own a restaurant, right? And I will tell you that at closing time. Well, no, I went to the bank out one day and discovered my business partner was in Marbella. but yeah, that is genuinely true. He's now a Labour councillor, and that is also true.
Birmingham.
He's on the phone.
Hey.
He said that was the happiest 4 weeks of my life. Was that a Henry Bolton quote? Okay. But anyway, that was a Henry Bolton quote. But anyhow, yeah, I think I've just derailed the entire show. But one of the things I just think, sorry, I've just given up.
Yeah, I got to say.
I'll tell you what we'll do.
Take a moment.
Do you want to ask me the question?
Yeah.
Why don't we ask the question?
Yeah.
Lizzie. Why have they picked this for Lizzie? Okay. Avanti West Coast is giving female employees a menopause goodie bag. Is it true or is it false?
It's absolutely true.
It's absolutely true! Oh. Students at Lincoln High School in Seattle have been told that their love of reading and writing is characteristic of white supremacy. Is it true or is it false? I mean, they go to Lincoln High School and they're white supremacists.
I can't anymore. I just can't. But unfortunately, I know this to be true because about 7 people sent me this story. And I found this staggering. So this is on World kind of Literature Day. And it's like in the school, and it's basically to celebrate reading and writing and all the rest of it. And a part of the Black Lives Matter bit, because apparently they have to get involved in everything. If you like reading and writing, you were a white supremacist. And they had these worksheets where they taught you how to apologise for being white. They taught you that if you didn't like any of this stuff, that actually that was racist. And if you dared to challenge it, then you had internal racism, and you were just literally the worst person ever.
And so, Pete, just to explain, and I think I'm right in saying this, the reason that you do not think of yourself as racist is because you are unaware you're racist.
Yes, that's the position. Yeah, but and also,
what a tosh.
I know, but also what I find quite concerning. But this is the thing. What was quite concerning is that if you became agitated by being called this and you had a problem with this, you were also called a racist.
Yes.
And so I often wonder, I think it was about 15-year-olds. If you're a 15-year-old kid and you'd say, well, wait a minute, I don't agree with this, and the automatic reaction is, well, if you don't agree with me, you're a racist, What is that? If you internalise that, if that's what you take out into society, that's a terrible way of teaching
Pete, what I would do is I would say to myself, if I'm being discriminated against on the grounds I'm white and I'm being told that I'm a racist, I'm going to be an actual racist. Because that would be the logical solution, wouldn't it?
So I always have this theory in politics, and I think it's the third law of thermodynamics. But for every action there's an equal opposite reaction, and I think the same is true in politics and society. That if you keep pushing this stuff, and again and again and again, you are going to get the other side of the argument, which is a terrifying actual white supremacist. I'm going to say, Pete, well, do you know what? Maybe we don't sound like the bad guys.
But Henry, I think Pete's actually been slightly naive there, and I'm going to explain why. Because I don't see this as an attempt to create racial parity. I see this as a Marxist-style struggle to pit white against black people.
I totally agree. And I tell you what, whatever lessons we learn from history, from colonial eras, and the British Empire, in terms of abuse, had nothing on the Portuguese, the Dutch, the French, and so on. And I'm not, but that's history.
I mean, King Leopold went shooting black people for fun.
Well, I'll tell you what, I like to try to be polite and well-mannered. If somebody comes at me with the opposite, they'll get the same back. Okay? And I have that same thing. If I'm polite and pleasant to people, then I hope to get the same back. But I don't think I have anything to feel guilty about. Yeah. Yes, I've made mistakes. Yes, I've upset people, and I've regretted it because I don't like upsetting people. But when somebody comes to me who doesn't know me or doesn't even come to me, they say on social media or something, you're a racist, you're a bigot. Get on your bike. I've got nothing to feel guilty about, and nor should the students at any school.
Has a school named after Abraham Lincoln said that all of its pupils are white supremacists. Is it true or is it false?
Sadly, it's true.
It's absolutely true!
I was having to get my fan out for Henry.
I need a jelly baby.
He does. You need a jelly baby.
Come on, just
Where are my tissues?
Go on, have a ciggy and do your breathing. Okay, so
through the nose and out through the mouth.
So to Lizzie, John Lewis has been branded disgusting after their in-house magazine recommended chest binders for transgendered children.
I am boycotting John Lewis because I actually do think this is child abuse. I really do. How they can even come up with this? They're trying to appeal to the minority and trying to look. It's just appalling what they're doing. And how is it allowed to happen?
Lizzie, I don't want to preach to a woman about a woman's issues, but I have to say, any mistreatment of breast tissue is a very, very poor idea indeed.
No, but it's actually dangerous.
Yeah,
of course it's dangerous.
This is one that's really important, is where they've got this idea from, and they've gone into partnership with an organisation called Mermaids.
Not them again.
Yes, them again. An organisation that will remind people that are currently under investigation for misconduct at the Charities Commission. And they're still peddling this stuff. And also remind people that Mermaids were accused of giving chest binders to children without parental knowledge. Ugh. That is what these people do. These people are not good people. I'm not against trans people. I'm not against trans charities. Some of them do brilliant work. This one is not a charity. It is a political advocate group. It is a lobbying group.
So what should John Lewis do now?
Apologise.
Is that going to be enough?
Well, they need to apologise and pull this and say how deeply sorry they are.
Okie dokie. So, Lizzie, you have already said you're going to boycott John Lewis, so I think the answer is going to be fairly obvious. But have they been telling children to use chest binders? Is it true or is it false?
It's true.
It's unfortunately true.
No.
OK. An NHS trust has sparked fury after claiming drug-induced milk from transgender women who were born as men is just as good for babies as women's breast milk.
What I find staggering is that this particular NHS
I'm not going
trust
near that.
does not care about patient safety and does not care about infant safety at all. In my opinion, and the head of this trust, the medical director, should resign in utter disgrace and be nowhere near a hospital ever again.
So me and my brothers were unable to be breastfed, and there is no doubt that my mum had a problem, but there was no doubt that the medical advice is always make sure you breastfeed as a priority. Yeah. There is no doubt that my IQ has been damaged by that. It's a simple medical fact, isn't it?
I know that a lot of people have said that the white native British breastfeeding rate is significantly lower than it is among other different ethnic minorities. But what staggers me about this is surely these people who have just become mothers, whatever you think of them, whether you think they're men or women or whatever, this has to be about the safety of that child. That's what this is about.
Yeah,
the child first.
Well, that's it,
putting the
Natalia.
child
These
first.
people are putting themselves before anybody else.
I couldn't
Their
agree
own
more,
needs.
Henry. I
Society, all
couldn't
sorts of
agree
things.
more.
That's the problem here.
And yeah, I think you're
there
bang
is no
on.
way that by adding hormones and adding this and making some sort of concoction of something,
No,
but
that you are doing
Lizzie,
anything
Lizzie,
that
Lizzie.
effectively poisoning children.
Lizzie, why have children become a commodity in our society to just be used? I mean, you see
Because
these.
they can't speak for themselves.
But they're being
And that's
used.
what these people
They're
You see
being
these
used for
celebrities.
their own
You see these
agenda.
celebrities. Oh, let's adopt this child. Let's adopt that child as a fashion accessory.
Yeah.
Ugh, it's just
I know.
revolting.
It's not like, getting a puppy dog and,
Well,
putting
no,
your
it is
hand
for
back.
some people,
But this
though,
is
isn't
what
it?
it's come to. It's so sad.
Because-
And me as a mother,
Okay.
I feel quite repulsed about this.
Okay, woke rabbit. What the bloody hell is that? no, that is not acceptable.
I want to explain to
It's
people on
trans
radio.
woman chest milk. I'm here to show you it's just as good.
Has an NHS trust sparked fury by trying to give that to people and saying it's good?
Yes, they have. It's true.
Oh,
It's absolutely true! Now, I have to say to you, the winner today has got to be Pete Barnes for touching that.
I agree.
Words.
Well done, Pete.
Thank you so much to Lizzie Cundy. Thank you so much to Henry Bolton. I'm off now to drink some trans breast milk. Until next time, goodbye!